So a lot of people right now are moving to the country. They're trying to get the hell out of these cities. They're trying to gain a little more freedom by getting out of these areas where people are stacked on top of one another. There's something about when you take a bunch of humans and you squeeze them into a small area and you make them so close to one another, it just creates micro tyrants out of everyone. And a lot of people are seeing that the answer to that is to spread out, to get away from people, to own enough property where you can stand naked on your porch and have no one care. So today's guest is going to talk to us about one of the options for that. Let's get started.
From Dallas, Texas, this is Anarchast.
Greetings, automatons. Welcome back to Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I will be Patrick Smith. Today's guest is Chad Schwartz. He is an off-grid construction and autonomy consultant. He's currently based in Mexico. He is an associate of Earthship Biotexture. Hopefully I said that right. And for the last year, he has been designing and building an off-grid and fully autonomous home in Acapulco. He wants to educate the anarchist community on decentralization of our basic utilities. He's working on funding and building an Earthship Airbnb with the proceeds being donated to a local orphanage in Acapulco. You can see more of Chad's work on his YouTube channel, Trivium Autonomy. Welcome to the show, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing great, Patrick. Thank you very much for having me, man. It's an honor to be on.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to our conversation. This is your first time on Anarchast, right?
Yep, first time. I'm new to the whole interview, sort of thing.
It's so rare. It's so rare because Jeff talked to everybody, and I hardly get any new guests to myself. So this is awesome. I get to ask you the first question. How did you become an anarchist?
Oh, nobody's really asked me that question too much before. All right, so really interesting question. And yeah, it really wasn't one big thing over the years. I'll start from the beginning. I was a teenager during the wonderful years of the George W. Bush administration. Now, back then, you didn't have to be very smart to realize that you shouldn't be trusting the president and the powers that be. It was a very shallow rabbit hole to go down. So in my teenage years, I kind of knew right away to kind of stay away from authority and that politics was kind of a trap. But I wasn't an anarchist. I was kind of a left-wing liberal Democrat for a couple of years. And then around the 2008 crisis, I came across Ron Paul. And that was just a paradigm explosion, the whole left-right paradigm. I saw right through it because I was asking myself, I was more of a liberal Democrat, and I was starting to see through their BS and everything. And I had to ask myself, I said, okay, why is it that this Republican from Texas is the only one who's consistently anti-war and pro-civil liberties, but it's coming from this, Republican guy? So that was like a huge, whoa, what's going on? And yeah, so 2008, that whole financial meltdown and Ron Paul, I'm like, wow, this guy's absolutely right as well. But I wasn't an anarchist. I was like a libertarian. I was terrified of the dreaded A word. I did not want people to think I was crazy. So I was like, small government, non-statist, minarchist. For years, I just could not bring myself to be called an anarchist. But before COVID, I was living in Asia, and I took a little trip to Cambodia. Now, and this one experience really changed me on a visceral level. Cambodia, I was there on a trip. And Cambodia is a place where in the 1970s, they had the socialist government and they killed more of their own people per capita than any country in the world. And you can still go there and take a tour of this horrible, they're called the killing fields. And it's just a horrible, horrible place. But it's like going to visit Auschwitz or a concentration camp. And you kind of go there and take a tour and learn about what happened and everything. And if it's just an interesting question that you asked about when did I become an anarchist? Because I can actually point to that one specific moment. If somebody had stopped me that morning before I went on that tour and said, oh, are you a libertarian? I would say, I'm an anarchist. But that tour, man, of they're called the killing fields, and they've still got the mountains of skulls, and they tell you about the government was trying to create this utopia and start everything new again. And it's just such a visceral, haunting experience. I can just remember being on that tour of there in Cambodia, and I can remember distinctly walking off of that tour and thinking, I'm an anarchist and fucking proud of it. I don't care what anybody says. It was that one visceral experience just totally changed me. And ever since then, I've been totally comfortable telling people that I'm an anarchist, and it's actually a beautiful and exciting thing. So.
What about your life has changed since you made that sort of self-realization or came to that conclusion?
Feeling a lot more freedom just in general, right? Once you realize that you're responsible for you, you can really start to live on your own, right? You have this realization of who you really are and what can be done in life. A lot of those kind of chains and shackles are kind of broken. And also, just learning to not wait for permission, right? Because like when you're a statist, you're kind of like taught to wait for permission. There's a hierarchy. But once you become an anarchist, you start to realize like, no, I'm in control of me. I don't need permission to get up and start to do things to save myself and change the world. It's I'm the boss and you're the boss. Everybody's their own boss. So that's very motivating, I would say.
Now, you're a teacher by trade, right? We don't have to talk about it to any degree you're not comfortable with. If you would like to talk about it, I love talking to teachers that are not working in the public school system, right? Hopefully that's not you.
I never have and never will. Never
Good.
ever.
Good. All right. Well, I mean, tell us about how long have you been a teacher?
I've been a teacher for about 5 years, actually going on six years right now. I moved to Taiwan of all places. I knew I did not want to live in the United States. For one, just the cost of living and being a teacher in the United States is just not a good thing. I left the United States and I just love to travel, man. I love to travel the world, and teaching English is a great way to travel the world. You will always have a job. Everywhere in the world, they need English teachers. So I moved there to Taiwan, hoping to study Chinese. That didn't go so well. I learned a little bit, but not a whole lot. But while I was there, I just I really started to, especially my second and third year teaching, I really started to like it because once I started doing my own thing, it's, and I taught to mostly children, mostly like wealthier families who can afford to hire a foreign American English teacher over there. And I taught mostly to children, and they're called cram schools. The cram schools were not a whole lot of fun. And then I started tutoring on my own. And when you tutor on your own, you have all the responsibility of preparing the material. It's a lot of work. You have to prepare everything, the grammar, the spelling, everything. But you also have a lot of freedom. You can teach whatever you want. So it's it definitely changed me about like organizing things, and like I've been doing with the Earthship, I've been presenting a lot of information. If I had not been a teacher, I would not be able to present that sort of information. And yeah, what I see these days is the public schools were already in trouble, and now with online teaching and stuff like that, I think their days are numbered, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And to be honest, online education is much better than classroom education, because when you're a student in the classroom, you have to turn your back and write on a whiteboard, and you break eye contact with the students. But when you have a computer, you can share images, and you can type up things faster than you can type faster than you can write, and you can share videos instant. Like, honestly, I think online teaching blows classroom teaching out of the water. And you can teach one student or 100 students. So,
I mean, for so many reasons. Like, this is the silver lining of COVID, is that people around the world, we talked about this before the show, it's showing people around the world that you don't have to all go to some central location anymore. It's 2021. We have the intertubes. We can connect remotely. Just like it saves people going to their jobs, they don't have to commute anymore. They can just log in and sit down with their cup of coffee, in their pajamas if they need to. Kids don't have to wake up at fucking 6 a.m. to catch a school bus for school that doesn't start for 2 hours. When I was young, I had to wake up so early. I was just a zombie. And even if I wanted to learn, I would not have had the energy or mental clarity that early in the morning to learn anything anyway. It was a terrible waste. So 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, that's 4 hours of your day just wasted on school buses and commuting, not to mention the other terrible nonsense involved in public schools. So yeah, I'm super excited about the world kind of reconfiguring itself around remote working and remote learning and remote communities. This is I think there's so much good that can come out of this.
Yeah, great point about reconfiguring, right? I hate to use the word, but great reset. if you're prepared right now, like I was prepared for online teaching. I started years ago before I knew online teaching was going to be a big thing. I was telling you before the show, I always uploaded my lesson plans right away when I got them. So I was ready for online teaching before the public schools teachers were. The parents who I teach the kids, they all told me, they said, Teacher Chad, your class is better than the normal teachers are because you were prepared for online teaching. And just like we're going to talk about today with Earthships, we're preparing ourselves. Like, if you got your stuff together, it's a great opportunity when the world is sort of shifting around and there's this imbalance going on. Nobody knows what's going on. If you're prepared and you're put yourself out there, now is your time to shine. So for me, it's a beautiful time, actually.
That's awesome. You're in Acapulco now?
Yep, I've been in Acapulco since COVID first hit. I cannot really go anywhere until, yeah.
How have things been there?
Acapulco, it's been well. Like, it's been pretty cool. Because I'm originally from New Jersey, and when I watch the news of what's going on in like Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, I'm like, my God, it's a dystopian hellscape. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy that I got very lucky that I landed here in Acapulco because I wasn't expecting to be here for all this time. But things are well. It's very calm. Mexico is very chill. The stores have you have to wear masks signs. So like the law and the rules are there, but it's pretty laid back. It's pretty chill.
Cool. All right. Well, let's talk about why you're here. So you got involved with a group of people making Earthships. Let's begin with talking about what is an Earthship. I call them hippie huts, but that's a loving term. What is an Earthship?
Yeah, they've been called that before. Hippie houses, stuff like that. That's okay. Okay, Earthships are basically, they are fully autonomous homes, fully off-grid autonomous homes. You do not need to pay for utilities for water, electricity. You can grow your own food. They're basically fully autonomous off-grid homes. And in essence, you can think of Earthships, they're basically the embodiment of anarchy, because anarchy is self-ownership and you're not relying or taking commands from anybody else in the world. If you have an Earthship, you're collecting your own rainwater and your own solar electricity. You are not reliant on the system's energy or water. You're starting with the bare bones, the bare essence of anarchy with your basic utilities. You're taking control of your own utilities.
I like the ability of not being reliant on the grid. But I am also a tech nerd, and so I have to have broadband to live. So I guess we're waiting on Elon Musk to give us Starlink for the...
You'll be waiting a long time.
Why? Oh, I thought it was rolling out now. What?
Oh, Elon. No, Elon knows who his daddy is, the U.S. federal government. God knows who he's working for. He's an interesting guy. I don't write him off entirely, but I listened to your older episodes and you were saying the same thing. Like, hey, I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. And I agree with you. And I've kind of been having this, I wouldn't say argument, but debate with some people, because a lot of people here in Mexico, they kind of like want to go off into the woods and start their own small communities. And I say, yeah, that's fine, but I'm not for that for a couple of reasons. A, like, I almost see that as like running away and hiding. Like, I'm not hiding. I want to be engaged with the world. What's going on? I want to be here to fight back and, fight the good fight. I'm not running away, try to hide. Not that all those people are doing that, but yeah, the thing with Earthships is you do not need to be out in the middle of nowhere. Our Earthship, we're building it at the Secret Garden Resort. It's right where they had Anarchapulco. So it's like right where they had the conference. You're not in the middle of nowhere in like the Ted Kaczynski Unabomber hut out in Montana. You're actually just feet. Or here in Mexico it's meters, but you're just feet away from the grid. You can plug into the electric grid and have all that stuff there. And Earthship Biotecture, they're trying to face every challenge. They don't just build them in specific spots, because when you build an Earthship in a cold location, it's different from building in a hot place. So Earthship Biotecture, their philosophy is to spread out to every possible place, cold climates, warm places, urban, countryside. We want to tackle all the different challenges. So I totally agree with you. Like, I'm not trying to go off into the middle of nowhere. A couple of years ago, I was kind of thinking that, but the more I think about it, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And the man who invented Earthships, Michael Reynolds, he's actually he did the designs, and he's got the permits. He says he's going to build an Earthship in New York City, in Manhattan. I don't know. He seems dead serious about it. He taught us about it in the academy. I'm like, that's a wild idea, man. And if he does it, that would be really cool.
It'll have to be union workers and 5,000 permits and buying off 17 politicians and yeah,
Mr. Cuomo, maybe he's not going to be too thrilled with it. Just send him some girls to seduce him.
I think he's out now, right? He resigned, right? Is that Cuomo? He's not the governor anymore.
News a little. I've stepped away from the news. I watched him squirm, but I didn't know that he was totally out. But that's just to illustrate that we're not running off into the woods and hiding. Like, you can have an Earthship completely alone with nobody around for hundreds of miles, but the Earthship systems can be retrofitted to suburban homes and possibly even urban homes. We are really pushing because I don't want freedom for myself. That's not going to that's not going to help anybody. I'm still in trouble if nobody else has freedom. So Earthship biotecture, their phrase, it's sustainable autonomy for everyone. If everyone does not have freedom, we're still in trouble. So these things have to be retrofitted for. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this a company? Earthship Biotecture is like a corporation, or what is it?
It's a small construction company.
Who's it run by?
They've been around since the 70s. Run by a man named Michael Reynolds. He used to be an architect, but the New Mexican government, the government there in Taos, New Mexico, they took away his architecture license because he was building these crazy off-grid things, and they said, no way, you can't do this. So they took away his architecture license. So he said, okay, I'm not going to do architecture. He created his own field called biotecture. So that's just his way of getting around the system. He says, no, it's not architecture, it's biotecture. So
is he an anarchist?
I haven't heard him say he's an anarchist. But when I took his academy, everything he said was like, decentralization. We're trying to get away from the politicians. We don't trust them with our water and our electricity and all that stuff. Pretty much every word out of his mouth sounded exactly like an anarchist. He's an older guy. He's like 70-something. So a lot of those older hippie, they're more like liberal types. Mm-hmm. But this guy's been off-grid. He knows what's going on. He's all about decentralization, and he doesn't want anything to do with the state. He has the systems built to bypass the state's codes and stuff like that. So he knows how to get around the codes. So he doesn't call himself an anarchist, but he's, in my point of view, he seems to be an anarchist.
Okay, so I guess now let's actually get into it. So let's maybe sell me on one of these things, and maybe do we have some pictures we can look at? I think we have. I am looking to buy some land outside of the city. And the land I'm looking at buying right now does not have a house on it currently. And so this is a legitimate option for me. I'm not necessarily looking to move my full-time house out there. I'm looking for something that I can build that, is off-grid. And, I can go to when I need to camp, or, if something goes nuts here in the city, I need a place to go. So I'm legitimately looking to hear your sort of sales pitch on building one of these on this land that I might be buying. So, all right, what am I in for? How much does it cost?
Here we go. Oh my God. In the United States, per square foot, they're more expensive than a normal home, but I'm building in Mexico. It's a lot cheaper. It's the cost is being driven down. I don't have a direct answer for that now because I'm building in Mexico. I don't know the exact cost in the United States. We'll look that up in a second. But you want me to sell you on an Earthship. I will begin by asking, I know that you're an anarchist and you're a human being who needs to live on this earth. So let me ask you, let's make a list of all the things that we need in order to survive on this planet and to have freedom. What do we need? For example, we already have free air, but how about water? We all need water every day. You cannot live a day without water. You as an anarchist, are you comfortable with where you get your water from right now? Do you trust those people who run your water supply?
No.
We're making some headway here. In an Earthship, you can either collect your own rainwater or dig a well. We're going to be doing both on our build site, but it's decentralized utilities. You control your own resources. So Earthships, you control your own water. You know where it comes from, how it's pumped into your house. You know where it comes from, where it's going, all that stuff. It's clean rainwater, no chemicals, no toxins. It's not being pumped through grid utilities. So right there, you need water. What else? What else do you need as a human to survive?
Water, food, shelter.
There we go. There we go. So Earthships, they're designed for growing your own food efficiently. They're called gray water planters. So after you take a shower and after you use your kitchen sink, when the water goes down the drain, it's called gray water. What the state does is they mix that with after your toilet water gets flushed. The state just mixes all that stuff together and then sends it away to be stored in a big facility, and it's a horrifying mess. But in Earthships, we separate the gray water from the black water. So gray water is still perfectly safe for growing food, vegetables.
Doesn't it have like soap and shampoo in it? Like, wouldn't that kill the plants?
Remember that plant roots are filters. Plant roots, no. If you dump harsh chemicals down your drain, then you're in trouble. But actually, just soap, it raises the pH level up. But as it goes through the planter, the soil absorbs it all, and plant roots they filter out the soap and they suck in the water. And remember that plants and humans are designed to live with each other, right? There's a symbiosis between plants and animals. We eat them; they eat the stuff that falls off us. The hair, the stuff that falls off your body in the shower, that's actually, plants love that stuff. That's nutrients for plants. So in Earthships, we have gray water planters that water plant roots, and that's a very efficient way, very hands-off way. You don't have to mess around with watering stuff. Those plants are inside your house, so the pests can't, the groundhogs can't eat them. They stay warm all throughout the cold winters, so you don't have to worry about that outdoor messing around with plants and animals, all that stuff outside. Earthships are great for aquaponics, growing fish. Fish are a great protein source, and it's better than you're not chasing animals around outside. You can just have aquaponic fish to get your protein in Earthships. So decentralization of food, organic, nutrient-rich, protein-rich food grown efficiently right in your house. That's Earthship food. So we have water, food. What else?
Can you actually grow enough food inside one of these houses to actually eat year-round? I mean, it seems like that would be a space problem.
In the big Earthships, yeah, you might see on YouTube the big jumbo Earthship. It's called the Phoenix Building. In that building, people have done an experiment. It is possible to survive. And now, mind you, you can still like order pizza or takeout or whatever, but this just gives you your base nutrition. It puts your base nutrition back in your hands. So to answer your question, if you have a green thumb and if you're very good with this stuff, you can grow enough to almost survive.
I'm a nerd.
It's not good enough.
I'm a computer nerd. There's no, the thumbs are not green.
That's okay. But what I'm saying is you at least have a little bit. You have your base nutrition. And when you grow organic food and have aquaponic fish, the nutrient level is much higher than in a normal store, right? When you buy food in the store, it's frozen, all the preservatives, half the nutrition is dead. When you got that living nutrition, it's a lot more nutrient dense and powerful. So it might not be enough to feed your whole family, but it's getting you started in the right direction with decentralized food. And now electricity. Earthships are super efficient with electricity. They are very stable with their temperature, so you're not as reliant on air conditioning and heating. You don't need any heating and cooling in Earthships, actually. So you need less electricity for that. So you have solar panels. You have your own decentralized electric utilities. You are not reliant. Once again, do you trust the people who are in control of your power supply, the power grid, the politicians who?
Did you hear what happened in Texas last winter? Did you hear?
In my Acapulco presentation, I had a very quick slide about that. I said, do not be like these people waiting in their cars for the government and the churches to give them food. I said, don't be like these people. If you're in an Earthship, you can at least begin to grow your own food and have your own nutrition.
Yeah.
Did that affect you there in Texas?
Oh yeah, we were without power for over a week. Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect my family personally because I had a generator and I just hooked my house up to the generator and I had backup fuel storage. And so I told the story. I told the story on this channel like right after it happened. In fact, I think I did an Anarchast show running on my generator power while the neighborhood was dark. Like I was the only house with lights on, and I felt like a king, man. I felt like a fucking king because I did my preps and they worked. It felt really good.
Okay, you felt like a king for a couple of days. If you have an Earthship, you will feel like truly you are a king because you have no authority. Nobody can take that away from you. You have your own energy. We had the same thing. We had a magnitude 7 earthquake here in Acapulco the other week. In Bonfil, where we're building, the electricity was down for half a day. Our Earthship was the only place that had electricity. So I'm like, wow, we did something right here. So I know the feeling, and it's an incredible feeling. And so if you're in an Earthship, you will have that feeling exponentially more.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some pictures. Can we walk through some of these pictures, and maybe that'll spark more questions about, I want to hear about your current progress, your current project, or the current Earthship that you're building, where you're building it, why you're building it, who you're helping. So let me, if that's cool with you, let me switch over to the pictures that we have here. And, talk us through these. What is this we're looking at here?
All right, so this was taken, actually it's a bit of an older one, it's outdated, but this is what the Earthship looks like from the outside. This is about 2 months ago. It's actually nicer now, we've got more stuff finished. This is the Earthship, it's here in Acapulco, Mexico, and it's at a place called Jardín Secreto, which means secret garden, and it's the same place where the Acapulco conference was. So the Acapulco conference was just about 2 minutes walk away from this build site here, and so, by the way, is it still on right now? I didn't see it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so we see the 2 solar panels on the side. We have more solar panels that we're going to be adding, but yeah, this is what the house looks like. Looks like it's a very small one. We're keeping it simple for now. So we can actually go to the next slide. Now, what you're looking at here is these are the orphans from the local orphanage that are right down the street from the Earthship. This is called the Marsh House Orphanage here in Acapulco, Mexico. The Acapulco Conference has done a lot of charity for these kids, and now our Earthship, we're going to put it on
This
Airbnb.
is the last several Anarchapulcos. They bring the orphans to the event, right? I think I've seen these groups come through. Is this the same orphanage that we're talking about?
Same kids.
Okay.
Same kids. Yep. Really great group of kids. Very, very nice and respectful. Yeah, so they struggle financially at the orphanage, so Acapulco helps them out. It's a local charity. And our Earthship Airbnb, once the Earthship goes on Airbnb, the profits will go to the orphanage. When somebody pays to spend a night in the Earthship, we're going to keep a little bit of that money to pay for the cleaning and the upgrades and maintenance and stuff. But by and large, the profits are all going to go to the Marsh House Orphanage to make sure that they still have their that they can buy healthier food, basically. So we can go to the next slide, actually. And throughout the Earthship build, I've been trying to teach these kids how to build Earthships. I want to teach them decentralization. I just want to throw this out there that we're talking about decentralization. The same way that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency decentralizes money, Earthships decentralize your basic utilities. So it's an incredibly powerful thing, and I think we need to be teaching this to young people specifically. I'm kind of done arguing with people my age and older, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers. I'm not wasting my time arguing with them about freedom. I want to teach this stuff to the younger kids because that's going to be a much more powerful way of getting ourselves out of the situation. So I haven't had the kids there every day because there's been too much chaos on the build site, but they've learned the basics of Earthships. And now that the building is almost finished, we can have full-on workshops, and we're teaching these kids how to build these decentralized systems. Off-grid electricity, off-grid water catchment. So we can actually have workshops to teach these kids how this stuff works. So this is thousands of dollars worth of information. I spent years and thousands of dollars trying to learn how to do this, and we're trying to teach this to the younger kids for free. This is just a bit of a dirty picture because we're building, but this is a nice one at the inside. So this is what our interior looks like. It's a roundhouse, a lot of organic architecture. We have a loft, and yeah, this is us halfway through the build. We build with tires for many reasons. They're earthquake proof, and they're great for temperature control, and they're very safe. They don't off gas or anything like that. That's a big question. People ask, are they safe? I say, yes, there's been a lot of studies done, and they are safe. They do not off gas once they've been used on the road.
So I'm curious now why the cost of this is more than a traditional house if we're just building with old used tires and dirt. Like, where does the cost come in? Great
question. They are extremely labor intensive. In order to build a wall out of tires, you have to pound the dirt in there with a sledgehammer, and that takes many people, like 30 people, all working together all day long. It's very, very, very difficult work to build a tire wall. But if you're an average person who's in shape, it's not so horrible. But it takes a lot of people, very labor intensive. Yeah, building a conventional home, it's a very streamlined process, right? It's you go to Home Depot, the materials there. It's a systemic thing, and they have the process all ready to go. Earthships are very labor intensive. There's always lots of problems to sort out. Because if you want that freedom of your own utilities, that's a lot of work. A normal home, you just plug right in and they deliver all that stuff to you. If you want your freedom, you have to learn how solar works, how to collect your own rainwater. Normal homes don't do that. You got to learn this stuff, how to pump your own water. So yeah, that's why it costs more, because they're very labor intensive up front, because you've got to learn these systems. But once you do have it set up, then you never have to pay a utility bill again. So
well, I guess the next question then is, then why not build a normal home with normal walls that are normally insulated and then add on the water catchment and stuff like that? Like, wouldn't that be better all around?
Yes, that is one absolute possibility. But tire walls, for there's actually many reasons. Tire walls are permite proof, earthquake proof. We just went through an earthquake. They hold temperature. Tire walls, they hold temperature. So normally in a home, you have to spend a lot of money, right? How much money does the average American spend on power for heating their home in the winter, right? Remember when you're a kid, you leave the thermostat on, your parents say, hey, turn that off, that's too much money. Earthships, the sunlight enters the Earthship, and the tire walls, because they're so dense and thick, they store the heat. And so the heat radiates out. So you don't need electricity to heat your home if you have a well-built tire wall. They store heat energy. So all the electricity that you would spend on a normal electricity for a normal home, tire walls store that heat energy inside the tire walls.
What's their efficiency rating to compare to like normal wall insulation? Do you have any numbers on that? You know what I mean? Like when you can get there's a rating for the insulation you get in your home walls.
Value. Well, yeah, that's interesting, because there's a difference between insulation and thermal mass. Thermal mass is when you're actually storing heat. The closest analogy I can think of is like when you fold your laundry. If you take your t-shirt out, it comes out of the dryer and it's hot. Your t-shirt cools off right away. But if you have like you fold up your socks and then 2 hours later you unroll the socks and they're still warm, that's the best analogy I can think of. You're storing the heat inside your wall. You're not keeping it trapped. Insulation just traps the heat, but thermal mass, it stores the heat in the wall. So that's the difference. And also environmentally, because I love this argument, because I'm an anarchist. Everyone says, oh, well, what are you going to do about global warming? And we need the state to save the environment. I say, my Earthship homes are exponentially more eco-friendly than your conventional home, starting from the foundation. Tire walls don't need a foundation. They're made from recycled materials. They store heat energy. So that's a great argument to have against the left-wingers who say we need the state to save the environment. I say, no, with decentralized autonomous homes, the environment, you're living in harmony with nature and you're using recycled materials. So that's a big plus for us anarchists, right? When you're arguing with the people who say we need the state for saving the environment, tire walls and recycled material, exponentially better for the environment.
So this is looks like the loft of the building. Then we have some really nice looking stairs.
Yep, beautiful job. This was the loft space. This was my friend Mike's idea. Mike owns divs.io, and he's been funding us. This was his idea, and it turned out really, really cool. So yeah, loft space. We're hopefully going to put a bed up there. And now this is where you catch your water, because water is the most important thing. You can't live a day without water. This is the gutter. This is a temporary roof water catchment, and then the water goes from the gutter into our cisterns there. And we have 2 cisterns. You have to catch the silt before it goes into your cistern. So when you catch rainwater, you have to do it properly with lots of filtering and silt catchment. And this is our 12-volt DC pump. We pump the water from the cistern up to our black cistern up on top. And we have gravity-fed water. So that's our raised up cistern. This way you don't need a water pressure system. We have gravity-fed water. It's much more energy efficient and simple. Gravity-fed water from up there, and then it goes down, it goes through this filter before it goes into our house. So we have lots of silt catchment and filtering. It's rainwater, so it's already very clean. And it's filtered before it goes into our house. It goes into our shower. You take a shower with clean captured rainwater. After you take a shower, it goes on the side of the shower. It's where our botanical cell is. This is empty right now, but the shower water, the gray water, flows through here. The next one is a picture. These are just house plants. We don't have the proper soil in here yet. I just put this in here to show you what it's going to look like. House plants. You can grow aloe, medicinal plants, whatever you like. In your botanical cell, this is a visual diagram illustration. You take a shower, the shower water waters your plants. It's very passive. You don't have to go out there and water it. You don't have to use fresh water for watering your plants. you're using 4 times less the amount of water as in a conventional home. I think in a conventional home, you use 80 gallons per day, and on average in an Earthship, you use 20 gallons per day. So super water efficient.
Why is it different? Why is it more efficient?
For example, when you flush your toilet in a conventional home, you're using fresh water. But in an Earthship, after the gray water goes through your botanical cell planter, it's all filtered and clean and everything. It's pumped into the back of your toilet. So you're flushing with your used gray water. So you're not using grid fresh water to flush your toilet with. So I'm sure everybody knows when you flush a toilet a lot, you have a high water bill. With an Earthship, you're using 0 gallons of grid water, or it's all recycled rainwater. Normally, in a normal home, your shower water leaves the house and it's just gone. In an Earthship, it waters the plants and then you flush your toilet with it. So that already makes it super water efficient right there.
What do you call the water out of your toilet? Black water? What do you call that?
Black water, and it can go to an outdoor septic and be pumped, whatever, if you needed to. But Earthships have a very it's an outdoor system, and it's very similar to the indoor planter, except outdoor, your black water is not watering. Your septic water goes underneath this outdoor botanical cell, and you don't put edible food in that outdoor thing. That would be disgusting. Some people say you can do it, but I say don't even try it. But you can grow useful landscaping plants, things like bamboo or cactuses, things like that are actually worth money. You can grow useful landscaping plants in your black water filter, and the plants soak all that stuff up right away. And we have a valve. So if you want to be, here's the thing, right? We're talking about like being semi-connected to the grid if we want to. In an Earthship, all you have to do is turn a valve and your black water can go into the normal state-run grid. So actually, when the building inspectors are there, that valve is turned into the state's grid so that the building inspector can check his little box and say, yep, they're compliant. And after he's gone, you can turn the valves, and then you're using your gray water and black water and lots of other stuff in permaculture ways. And yeah, black water is actually very good for growing useful landscaping plants further away from the house, obviously, but leach fields, you can grow useful outdoor landscaping plants with your black water. This is a submersible pump. We use this for recirculating the gray water back through the plants or pumping it into the back of the toilet, These are solar panels. They're both 270 watts each, so that's 540 watts. And we have another 100 watts and another 68 watt. This is our solar electric setup. It's very user-friendly because most people don't know how their power works. I did not know how electricity works most of my life. This is our solar gear. So if you stay in our Earthship Airbnb, you're going to learn this stuff. We're going to have diagrams, and this is where we hook the panels in, and then we have a little digital reading box. So you can actually, the digital screen, it allows you to see how much energy the sun's giving you and how much energy your house is using. So you learn about how much voltage and how much watts you're collecting from the sun, and you're able to see how much your phone is taking from the charger. You're able to measure this stuff in our Earthship. So our Earthship, you're going to be learning. If you stay there for the night, you're going to get an education on how all this stuff is done. So we're pretty psyched about that.
All right.
This is a small portable thing. It's called a Jackery. This is great for a bug out thing, right? It's a thing you don't need a whole lot of messing around for. It's like a little battery box, and you can plug your phone in and USB ports and whatever, and you collect the energy right from the sun. Very useful one there, the Jackery. So, yeah, and like we're talking about, you don't need to be fully off-grid away from civilization for these systems to work. They can actually they can work perfectly well while you're still hooked up into a normal grid. So if your solar panels are down, you can flick a switch and still be hooked up into the grid energy whenever you need to.
Okay, so we just gave everybody like a super short abbreviated version of all the details. I know because you kind of gave us the full pitch to the Acapulco Planning Committee, I think last year or recently. My sense of time is so screwed up right now. Yeah.
A little less than a year ago.
I'm just so busy. I kind of forget when things happen these days. So all I know is it happened before now. So if you want to, where can people go to find out like all the details? Like if they want the in-depth walkthrough.
Yep, I gave a good presentation at Acapulco. I have that presentation on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is called Trivium Autonomy. So if you go type in Trivium Autonomy on YouTube, you will find that one. You can. I'm going to be going on. We were talking about, joining Float. So after the Earthship build is done, I'm going to be creating a better website and getting on Odysee and Float and all that good stuff. I haven't had time for that because the build has been so chaotic. But for right now, you can see some of my YouTube videos. And if you message me, I'll give you my contact information at the end of the show. But message me. I'm happy to talk to anybody about any questions that they have.
Okay, so I think the last thing that I think we should talk about in this show is the current project you're working on. You're trying to build this Earthship. My brain kept saying, "Call it a hippie hut," and I'm like, "No, that's insulting. I don't want to do that. It's a joke. It's lighthearted. It's not meant, nasty."
You're the host. That's okay.
Yeah. So I want to know, what's the current state of your project? How long have you been working on it? How far are you to completion? How much moolah do you need to make it happen? What's going on with it?
All right. So the original plan was this type of Earthship can be built in a month or two. We're thinking 2 or 3 months. But Murphy's Law, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Everything has gone wrong multiple times. It's we're having that same problem again and again. We have a temporary here in Acapulco. It floods during the summertime. So the flood season is just about over. We had some trouble with flood water, so we're waiting until the flood season is totally gone before we open. But we are 90% done the build, and we're kind of cruising along until the end of flood season. So we're not hurrying because we want to make sure the rainy season and the floods are not coming back to bother us. We're 90% of the way done. We've been doing it for half a year now since the Acapulco conference. We're going to be naming this house Casa de Divs.io, because here in Mexico, you have to name your house Casa de whatever. And now a lot of the money that I've gotten for this build was donated to me by my friend Mike Healy. Mike Healy runs a website called divs.io. That's divs.io. And it's a crypto exchange platform. It's very important. All the people, here we go. This is what it is. So it's a really great crypto exchange platform. Mike has been personally donating before to me. And I should also say, I've received other donations from people in crypto, but I haven't been able to cash it out. I've gotten Monero. I used divs.io to get the money from the Monero donations in order to get the cash to pay for stuff at the build site. So divs.io is funding us. And if you use divs.io for your crypto exchanges, you're helping other decentralization projects and you're helping charity. So,
well, I'm not running a commercial here, but if somebody is donating to help orphans, I think they deserve a shout out. That's why I wanted to show their website full screen. These aren't, they're not profiting off of your build. They're donating to help your build, and that's honorable of them. So that's cool.
He's gone above and beyond. So normally I don't plug stuff like that, but Mike has just literally been absolutely incredible. He's a very smart guy, and it's all about decentralization. So
there's a lot of crypto grifters out there, and so and they don't often help people. They're not in that business. So it's cool to see somebody actually doing something good with it.
And and like we were talking
so
about,
you said you're 90%. You said you're 90% done, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So what's left?
We had some flood damage, so we had to do things like painting, and we took our solar panels down because of the floods. Now we have to rehook up our solar panels again, and we have to do some touch-up work because the house is cool enough temperature-wise, but we have to make our cooling tubes a little bit longer. We have to do a little bit of work to make sure it's comfortable, is all I'm saying. We have
cooling
to paint
tubes? What's a cooling tube?
They go through the earth, because remember, the Earth's temperature, if you dig down below the frost line, the Earth's temperature is 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a stable temperature in the ground. It's very similar to geothermal heating. So we have tubes that go through the hills around our Earthship, and it pulls in the air. It sucks in cool air. It sucks in the air from outside, and the Earth's cool temperature cools the air as it comes into the Earthship. So they're called cooling tubes. It's a natural convection method of keeping a house cool.
Interesting.
So we're still trying to perfect it. It works, but we still need to perfect it because Acapulco is freaking hot. So,
so how much money do you need to finish it?
We'll take whatever we can get. Ballpark, of $1,000 or so.
Oh, that's it? Guys, okay, hold on. Excuse me.
That's very.
Let me have a moment with my audience here, guys. He needs $1,000 to finish a hut to help some orphans get some money. If this audience can't put together $1,000, I'm gonna be embarrassed. So I thought he was gonna come on here and the ask was gonna be like 20 grand. You know, I thought it was gonna be a hell of a goal. But he needs $1,000 to put the finishing touches on this thing. Okay, sorry. Back to the show. Okay, so so you're almost done, and you need $1,000. Okay, like what are you gonna do with that money?
And I should say, $1,000 is appreciated. That's just to finish up to get things like just good enough, comfortable enough for an Airbnb guest. But the more money we get, the nicer we can make the house, and the nicer we can make the home, the more money we can charge on Airbnb every night. So if you donate even more than $1,000, that means we can make the place even nicer and charge extra money every night. That means the orphanage is getting more money indefinitely. So this is not a one and done donation to charity. This is going to be a perpetual, ongoing thing that's constantly every night raising money for the orphanage. So any extra money that we do get, if it's like $2,000 or $3,000, it's not going to waste at all. Like every penny that is donated will be used to improve the place. So every improvement means we can charge more, and the more we charge, the more we can raise for the orphanage. So there's no freaking limit. I can't put a limit, but 1,000 will get us across the finish line so that we can finish up.
This video is going to get about 3,000 views across all of our platforms. If 50 of you give this dude $20, he's got $1,000. Like, we can do that. I know we can do that. 1,000, and if you do $25, man, he's gonna pimp this thing, and the orphans are gonna be awesome. And you have to come back on the show when you're done with pictures of the finished product, so that we can show it off, so that the people that donated to help you can, see the fruits of their donations, right?
Absolutely, and it's almost time for that. And yeah, one thing I just wanted to put in a nutshell about Earthships, because we're trying to get that out there earlier. In my presentation, I talked about Maslow's hierarchy. We all see Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We need comfortable heating and cooling. We need electricity, food, and all that stuff. Earthships, what I love about Earthships, if you're an anarchist, if you have an Earthship, all of your basic human needs, it's already in an anarchistic system. You're not reliant on the state or grid for anything. So Earthships give you your basic stuff, but then the next level is we need to communicate and exchange with each other. Then you can add in mesh networks and crypto. So a lot of people, they say, oh, what would a stateless society look like? It's like this futuristic, vague thing that we have no idea. And I'm telling you guys, it's already here. We already have this stuff. For the freedom community, we just have to make a list of everything we need: water, food, electricity, communication, money, transactions. We already have it. We have Earthships, we have mesh networks, we have crypto. The stuff's already there. So it's super exciting. We just need to get to work here. And Earthships.
What was the total cost? What was the total cost of the build?
It's supposed to be a lot less. And to be honest, we lost track because it was so nebulous and we had to refix mistakes. Between $10,000 and $20,000 US dollars, probably closer to $20,000 US dollars.
Okay. All right. So this would have been a different ask if you had approached us a couple of years ago before you started anything, and you said, "Look, I need to raise 10 or 20 grand to make this thing happen." Guys, final appeal, and then I'll shut up. He's going to put the finishing touches on this thing with $1,000. We could do that, right? It's not like we're talking to somebody who hasn't started anything. And, we're risking 20 grand on a complete unknown. Shit's almost done, guys. Like, let's help him finish it for the orphans, if nobody else. All right, so enough e-begging for me.
You're also helping yourselves, because karma is real. I guarantee you, I've experienced that. You'll get that back. And also, if all of you listening, I presume, are anarchists, and some people don't quite understand what Earthships have to do with anarchy, but you might not get it now. But I will be teaching this stuff for free on my YouTube channel. So if you donate to me to help me finish this build, and I make these workshops from the Earthship, I put them on YouTube, you are going to learn about decentralized water, decentralized power, all this stuff. You are going to learn decentralized, authoritarian, free utilities for your living, which you need to live. So if you want to live free, I can get you started with your basics for free regardless of whether you donate to me or not. That's all I'll say there.
Okay, I think you gave me one last slide with your contact information, which is probably a great way to end the show. So let me put up your contact information, and then while we're showing that, do you have anything else that you'd like to say before we wrap it up here?
No, all I'm saying is I'm just getting started with this because I'm still sort of an apprentice. I'm still a novice Earthship builder. So I'm still kind of new to the freedom world, but I should be around for a while. And my goal is to help teach decentralization. So if you're at all curious about this stuff, subscribe to me on YouTube or message me, because there's going to be a lot of super impressive stuff coming out in the next couple of years. I want to help the anarchy community really get their stuff together with decentralization. We need to get serious about off-grid stuff. So you can message me at chadwschwartz@gmail.com. Subscribe to me at Trivium Autonomy on YouTube. You can donate to me on PayPal at teacherchadonline@gmail.com. There'll be crypto links. And once again, you can check out if you want to rent our Earthship, go to divs.house. And that was on that screen we just had. We just started our new website, divs.house. I got some help setting that one up. If you want to check it out, if you want to rent from us on Airbnb, check out divs.house. And if you want to help other decentralization projects, use divs.io for your crypto exchange. That's basically what we have to go on for now.
All right, Chad. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
Patrick, thank you so much, man. It's been an absolute honor being on here for the first time. And if you want to have me back on once we're finished, I will show everybody everything we've done, and it will blow people's freaking minds, guaranteed.
Oh, yes. You have to come back on so that the people that donate after watching this, because I know you will, guys. I know you will. so that we can see, what we have helped accomplish. So that's awesome. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a great show, and we'll see you next time.